our link that ties into today's theme is the SDGs and peace, justice, and strong institutions and partnership for the goals. 16 and 17 sort of underpin our link because we've always been working together on themes of justice, human rights, etc. But also, we'll, as Lisa mentioned, we're going to be talking about COIL and also other SDGs that we incorporate in our link. And our link keeps developing. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And you can see I've written Erasmus and Brexit here. And sadly, Brexit wasn't known when we first began our Erasmus link. Our link was through Erasmus, but now we've still tried to carry on our link. And Grenoble is our French twin city, which a lot of you probably know. And a number of people have asked me about COIL because COIL has become quite a buzzword at the moment. How do I connect with another university now on another place? And I was very lucky because I had these teacher mobility trips to Grenoble, which is our French twin city, and also to Perm in Russia, which is our Russian twin city. So Muriel, did you want to say something about when I first met you?
So it all started a long time ago when I decided to create what is called the European Week. And you decided to join us on the theme of children's rights. And that was an SDG dimension at that time. 2 years later, with other colleagues, we've been working on women's rights for the study of movies and law. And we finished with capital punishment. So that's our experience with you.
That's right. And we decided, and when Muriel first mentioned digital links, I was quite frightened about the digital part, but we managed to keep it up. And sort of to strengthen that, I also had a collaboration with Perm in Russia and went 2 years there to teach some language and work in their linguistic departments on a visit. And that actually led to my first digital link, which that's why I'm mentioning it here. And the first one was, I discovered that in Perm they also taught intercultural communication, which is now culture and communication. And so I set up some elementary digital links, which turned out to be very successful, actually. We used Skype. This was pre-Zoom. And we shared materials on email, etc. And the students would do similar exercises. They suggested exercises our students could do, vice versa. And what we did is we projected with Skype, we projected their classroom up on the wall, and the students got very excited about this. But we did it in real time. So you can see there in the picture, luckily I have this old video, but you can see in the picture the Russian classroom right there. And it again was quite diverse. And this was a language classroom, and our students were doing verbal communication and teaching each other their languages. And so what we did is they, with a laptop, they spoke to each other, and they started off actually in Spanish, as you will hear.
Aunque no hay máquina. ¿Qué pasa? En el sur hay más gente rica. Madrid, cuando bajas en España, Valencia, son ciudades muy ricas.
Okay, but this was very, very exciting. And I did this in many classes, not just this class, and we discussed all sorts of things. So it was pre-Zoom, and so it was our beginning of our sort of COIL. And then what we did is Kathy DeBrew and I worked on this together, and a lot of you know her. And we went to a BALEAP conference, organized or encouraged by Lisa, I must say, which was great. And we found out that a lot of the other teachers there were working on what was then called OIL, which later became COIL. So we presented our link with Russia to the colleagues, and it was very inspiring and validating, etc. for us. So then I went back and thought that, yes, we must have a digital link with Muriel. So, and this is Muriel's institution. Do you want to say a few things about this, Muriel?
So the picture shows a green building, which is related to the theme of today. Was created in the 20s, and at that time already, the founder had links with Russia.
Which is interesting, yeah. And so that's the building, which I think is beautiful. Muriel says she doesn't think so, but but this is sort of the center that you take to. Okay, so these are just the goals of our link, which a lot of you, I'm sure, have the same thing, intercultural competence. The students were interacting with Grenoble and Oxford, but also the students have such diverse backgrounds that also was part of the mix. And we were working on digital literacy, knowledge sharing, and English language, of course. And all of our interactions together have been synchronous or non-synchronous, both. So we had some joint classes on Zoom, and the students could communicate in pairs or groups on WhatsApp or another sort of social media. And we also did a lot of recording, which you'll see later, recording each other's voices, recording their own voices and sending them, to the other institution, or reading each other's work or assignments. And also the knowledge share. This was done in 2 different modules that I was teaching, both the applied languages and culture and communication, which was intercultural communication, in which they talked about their identities, but also talked about how the SDGs are being implemented in Grenoble and Oxford. And this was just a picture of our sharing of pronunciation exercises of poetry and culture with the applied language class, and the students did poetry reading in Grenoble and Oxford and shared their recordings and listened to each other's pronunciation and analyzed pronunciation, and of course did vocabulary and culture. And then our link evolved. It started off with pen friends, and then we had joint classes on Zoom. Pen friends did pair work, and then our latest project is they've become international teams in which the students from both universities work together on a project. So I wanted to show you this. Muriel, do you want to say something about this?
So this was during a Zoom during the COVID period, and 3 of my students are here. One is from New Caledonia, another is from a Cambodian background, and the third one has Spanish parents, so interculturality.
Right, and this was great because my students were from Russia, Turkey, Japan. I mean, everyone was from a different country, and we had a wonderful, synchronous joint class. And our students who were pen friends with Muriel's students were very excited to see them, in the classroom. So this was wonderful. Okay, and then this is some more real footage. And this is pair work between 2 students. They were finding out about each other.
Where the recording goes after, but okay.
And this was Sabrina from Brazil and Sarah's from
what is the difference between Grenoble and Mauritius for you?
The biggest difference is the weather. In Grenoble, it's actually cold, and in Mauritius, it's all of the year. It's summer. So yeah, I think it's the biggest thing that changed when I come here, and that's it, because all of people have the same life. It's okay.
And what about the people? Are they more friendly in Mauritius or in France?
Yeah, but when I come here, I'm
okay, so this was lovely, and a lot of the students did this, but we were lucky enough to have this recording. And then this is a picture of the one group of the French pen friends, and I was lucky enough last summer to go to Grenoble and meet these pen friends and then take messages from them back to my class, and they very kindly labeled their picture and mentioned who their pen friend was, Mafu, etc. And this is my group, some of my group, and you can see they're from everywhere, lots of different countries represented. And then I've got a couple pictures here of Grenoble. And did you want to say something, Muriel, about your green?
These are your pictures, but indeed, that's the new mayor is the green one in France, the only one, I guess, and he's promoting cycling, tram, etc.
Yeah, that's right. So I just wanted to show quickly, you can see the mountains in the background and bicycles and trams and very, very car-free streets, which we could only envy being in Oxford, where we're crammed. And you can see the pedestrianized areas, lots of bikes. And then my students communicated about this with each other, my students in Grenoble and the students. And they're just some quick photos of when I met the pen friends and shared some information with them. And this is one of Muriel's classes, very, very bright group and diverse as well. And they, again, wanted to have their to have their picture taken. They knew that this information was going back to Oxford. And then this is some feedback on our program. So that from Muriel's students, which you can see. So they all seem to, you can see lots of positivity there. And they were all happy about the, oh, Lisa, time check?
You have about 2 minutes left.
Oh gosh, 2 minutes. Okay, so that just gives us time for our last project very quickly. This was working on a campaign. You can see food waste, food poverty. We chose these 4 issues, and they worked together in teams, as you can see here, to produce a poster and a campaign for this issue. And what they did is they pooled their research on the Padlet. So this one is food waste and food poverty, which it's going up a bit very slowly, but they put all their joint information on these Padlets. So that was food waste. Then they did one on fast fashion, on ecocide, and on, this was plastic waste. Again, these all fit in with the SDGs. And then the idea was to make a leaflet, which they produced jointly with between the 2 universities. So they had information about Britain and information about France, etc., on their leaflet. And this was food waste. You can see the information about from both sides. This was food waste as well. And fast fashion and ecocide, etc. And then what this fed into was a reflection, which my students wrote on their experience working in their international team. And this was part of their coursework, to write a reflection. And Muriel, do you want to say something about this?
So I'm going to rush. It was a guided tour with Romanian team and you, where the students presented the Grenoble Green Capital. We can see the poster behind me. And of course, the people were testing local products like Chartreuse in the next slide, and green product. And that was
go ahead. Yeah, so this was a lovely activity where all her students talked about their city and then shared local products. So it was the idea of buy local, Chartreuse and walnut cake and cheese, local cheese. So it was sharing their culture and sharing their local products. So I think that's just about the end of our slides. I had to kind of rush through at the end. But is that about the right amount of time, Lisa?
Yeah, did you want to just stop sharing and we can pull back to everyone? Thank you very much, Dana and Muriel. Very interesting presentation about the oil that became the COIL. And yes, would anybody like to ask any questions? Nicole.
Hi, very interesting project. I have one small question. Did you come across any challenges, and can you share with us? This is like a wonderful experience and a very positive feedback from the students. I wonder from the teacher's side, what kind of challenges you have encountered?
Actually, that's an excellent question. And the challenges were the logistics. I'm sure Muriel will agree. And just some simple things like the fact that our students had a different holiday period than the Grenoble students, or their Muriel's students would have exams when my students were really ready to communicate, or they'd have a break or something like that. So it was a little bit frustrating with that. Also, it depends on the size of the class. I think if you tried it with a really big group, as we did last semester, with lots and lots of students, and making sure they all have each other's emails and all, can be rather a challenge. But I think the students really got excited about it. How could you answer that question, Muriel?
I would have mentioned the use of social media. that was quite challenging, because even if they had Instagram or WhatsApp, face-to-face communication is not the same, and they were all asking for traveling to Oxford and meeting the the people, the students in flesh.
Which is quite exciting, yes. But I think those sort of logistical challenges of the time, you know, as I said, the times of when you do what during a semester was tricky, you know, knowing when one student group would be having exams or work to and things like that. So I think that's what you have to be aware of when you're doing COIL.
Thank you. And Hania.
Thank you. Yeah, sounds like a lovely idea. I'm not sure if you mentioned this already, but was the project connected to any kind of assessment, formative or summative assessment, or was it purely for pedagogical learning purposes?
Oh, no, I'm pleased you asked that, because it was at the beginning it wasn't. And for my students, I have to let Muriel answer that. But later on, in the last few years, it has been. In fact, but actually, having said that, only in the last year has it been completely, because what we did is we offered the option to have your coursework be in this program or write another essay. We gave an option. The last 2 semesters, it's been required to do this. So we've had to kind of, and Lisa helped us with that, to try to get the ideas of, you know, what do we make required and what do we make not? And this is something I think everyone needs to think about, because I think they all took it seriously, but maybe when we first started it, it was more an option. And the last few semesters, it's become everyone has to do it. And again, we have to kind of go back and monitor this and see which is the best system to use. But yeah, I think that's important to think about.
Great, thank you very much. Any other questions? Avril.
Hi, just to follow up on something that came up from Nicole's question about logistics. When you got the 2 classes to sort of video each other synchronously, how did you arrange that? Because of, you know, time differences, or when your class scheduled?
Well, the picture that you saw, and I think we did it twice. Only twice. This was very tricky, because of course Muriel's students would be having lunch when my students were working, or, you know, having classes, and that's difficult. And of course in France there's only one hour time difference, but we've still found that quite difficult. Is that what you mean when we actually had joint Zoom classes?
Yeah, or the class, the video that you showed with the Russian class on screen. Yeah. How did you manage to coordinate?
I mean, that was amazing, particularly because it was a much more elementary digital. But all I did is I just contacted the teachers, and their teachers were really keen. And you know, Kathy was sort of involved in that as well. And we just said, okay, 1 o'clock, and it just happened that their class they had early evening classes, I think, or maybe it was something like 11 o'clock for us and 4 or 5 o'clock for them, because 5 hours difference. And we said, okay, we will meet on Skype at this time. And then it was fine. But this is the kind of thing that you have to organize. And actually, amazingly, in the Russian situation, it always tended to work. Whereas I think the French, even though there's only an hour time difference, it seemed more problematic, maybe because I'm not quite sure why, but I think Muriel's students have all sorts of different things going on, don't they, Muriel? That didn't quite, sometimes are hard, but we would like to have done it more often. Don't you agree, Muriel?
Yeah, sure. But they have a lot of hours in France compared to England, about 8 hours a day. So it makes it different.
There's part of the answer. Yeah, that was the tricky bit. So we had to try to fit in when Muriel's students would be free. But again, I think it just depends, and yeah, it's just something that you need to work on. But it's a good question.
Thank you.
Right, I think we've got time for another question from Nicole.
Sorry, it's not really a question, but it's a comment. Like, thank you for sharing your, project, and it's really, really great and inspiring ideas. I am having a COIL project myself, and I've been working with this partner in France for 3 years now.
Really?
Yes, and I have to say, because I'm in Finland, so we have like 2 hours time difference. That's even well, actually, with the France, with the French partner is an hour difference, so that's not too bad. But with the UK, that would have been very challenging. But I have to say that I think you would have agreed with me that we've been really lucky to have good partners, because otherwise it wouldn't have worked. And I have been lucky enough to manage to have the courses, like the class time, synchronously. So my students and their students, they would be able to have like an hour practice speaking together every time. So I think that, you know, I can only say we're really lucky.
That is very lucky, yes, because Muriel's students are being worked very hard, aren't they, Muriel? They have so many classes, whereas, yeah, and it's a tricky thing to organize. But, and also, I mean, it really helps to have a good partner, as I do in Muriel, that we can communicate really well. So
yeah. Great, thank you so much. We've run out of time, and what a fascinating presentation and some fantastic questions and discussion there at the end. So thank you so much, Muriel and Dana. Yes, we've got a little break now, a little sort of comfort changeover break. There is nothing in this session, in this strand, so you'll have to jump out into one of the other strands. We've got a session on embedding ESD into a pathways college. That's in strand 1, that's Owain. And then in strand 3, we have Sasha talking about her experience in medical knowledge and development and acceptance of African traditional medicine. So too fascinating. The other option, of course, is that you take a gap and you have a look at the asynchronous artifacts. There are 3 asynchronous artifacts on the Padlet that I know that Michelle, Natalie, Stuart and Emma would greatly appreciate any feedback that you had for them on those artifacts. And if I don't see you before, I'll see you at the roundup at 3 o'clock, and that's back in this strand.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. See you. Bye.
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 Bye.